I used to believe that my wife loved our children, but then something happened that turned my world upside down. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll begin my story. My name's Matthew Thompson, Matt to my friends. I am 50 years old and have been married for almost 20 years to my beautiful and wonderful wife, Rachel, whom I love very much. Together, we have two amazing kids, Connor, who's 15 and outgrowing everything faster than I can keep up, and Sarah, my 10-year-old daughter who still believes her dad can hang the moon in the sky. That Wednesday morning was the same. Ray, kissing our children and giving me a warm hug, left for a business trip. Sarah waved goodbye to her mother and said, "I love you, Mom." I was at home, struggling to herd the kids through breakfast before school. Connor, lost in his phone as usual, Sarah poking at her cereal reluctantly, and me gulping down coffee like my life depended on it. Ray had already been away for 3 days on a week-long corporate communications project in Portland, longer than her usual business trips, and honestly, we were all feeling the strain. I love my wife deeply, so an idea sparked in my head: why not surprise her with a spontaneous visit? The thought struck me suddenly as I watched Sarah swirl her Cheerios around without actually eating them. "Hey," I said, setting my coffee mug down, "what if we flew up to see Mom this weekend?" Sarah's face instantly lit up brighter than Christmas morning. "Really, Dad? We just show up?" "Yeah," I nodded, feeling my excitement grow. "We can book flights today, arrive tomorrow evening." Just imagine Mom's face when she opens the hotel room door. Connor finally glanced up from his screen, clearly intrigued. "Actually, that sounds pretty cool," he admitted, which, coming from a teenager, was practically a standing ovation. By lunchtime, I pulled strings to get Friday off work, made arrangements for the kids to skip a day of school, and booked 3 tickets straight to Portland. All afternoon, I couldn't stop picturing Ray's reaction, her shock, her delight, maybe even joyful tears. It had been far too long since I'd given her such a spontaneous surprise. I tried calling Ray that morning, but it went directly to voicemail, not unusual during her busy corporate communications meetings. I sent her a quick text: "Miss you. Kids keep asking when you're coming home. Love you." No reply, but I figured she was just busy. That evening, while packing our bags, I tried reaching her again. Still no response. A little unease crept in, but I brushed it aside. Portland was hosting a major business conference. Rachel was probably swamped networking and building connections. After all, the corporate communications field was fiercely competitive, and my wife was a powerhouse in high heels. When I tucked Sarah into bed that night, she hugged her stuffed bunny tightly and asked with wide eyes, "Daddy, do you think Mommy will cry when she sees us?" "Maybe, sweetheart," I said, kissing her forehead gently. "It's going to be the best surprise ever." At the time, I had no clue just how wrong I was. I didn't know the surprise waiting in Portland wasn't ours to give, but instead something that would shatter our lives completely. The flight to Portland wasn't particularly long, yet it felt endless. Connor tuned everything out with his headphones, Sarah chatted excitedly about all the things she'd tell her mom, and I sat between them, feeling more anxious with each passing mile. I attempted calling Rachel 3 more times before boarding. Every call went straight to voicemail. I texted again: "Hope your meetings are going well. Miss you." The message delivered, but silence was my only answer. "Dad, why are you constantly checking your phone?" Connor asked abruptly, briefly removing his headphones. "That kid never missed a beat." "Just making sure our rental car is all set," I lied, forcing a casual smile. Deep down, something felt off. Rachel and I had faced ups and downs in our nearly 20 years together, but she'd never stayed silent this long, especially with the kids involved. Once we landed at Portland International Airport, I tried calling her again. Still nothing. I left a breezy voicemail: "Hey babe, just checking in. Give me a call when you can." Renting the car turned into a frustrating ordeal: wrong reservations, endless lines, Sarah needing multiple bathroom breaks. By the time we finally drove toward downtown Portland, it was after 8 in the evening. Traffic had thinned out, but the city buzzed with typical Thursday night energy. "Dad, I'm starving," Sarah complained from the back seat. "Me too," Connor chimed in, momentarily interested in something other than his phone. "Can we eat first?" "Let's check in at the hotel first," I answered, gripping the steering wheel tightly. "Maybe Mom can join us for dinner." As we approached Rachel's hotel, the knot in my stomach tightened further. One last attempt to call her actually rang, which felt oddly hopeful. Still, she didn't answer. The Kimpton Hotels greeted us with a rush of warm air as we stepped through the revolving doors. The lobby looked upscale, polished marble gleaming under soft lighting. Connor and Sarah glanced around, visibly impressed. Ray always stayed at nice places on her company's expense account. "Wait right here, guys," I instructed, pointing them toward plush couches. "I'll handle check-in and find Mom's room number." Sarah bounced eagerly. "Can we surprise her right now?" "That's the plan, sweetheart," I responded with enthusiasm I didn't genuinely feel. Approaching the front desk, I had no idea I was about to walk headfirst into a moment that would change everything. "Good evening, sir. How may I assist you?" The receptionist smiled professionally. I cleared my throat. "I'd like to check in, and also connect with my wife, Rachel Thompson, who's already staying here." She quickly typed something. "Yes, Mrs. Thompson is staying with us." "Shall I ring her room?" "Please," I said, relief flooding through me that Rachel was indeed here. She dialed, waited briefly, and then her face shifted into a slight frown. "I'm sorry, sir." "There's no response. Could you try again?" I asked, the knot in my stomach growing tighter. Maybe she didn't hear it. She attempted again with the same result. "Sorry, still no answer." "Would you like to leave a message?" "No, that's all right." I handed over my credit card. "We'll just check in for now. My wife is sort of expecting us." "It's supposed to be a surprise." A subtle look, hesitation, crossed her face. "I understand, sir. Let me get you set up." She processed our check-in swiftly, handing me 2 key cards. "You're in room 732. Mrs. Thompson is in 718. Different floors?" I asked, confused. "No, same floor. She's just down the hall from you." She paused for a moment, then cautiously added, "It appears Mrs. Thompson checked in with a +1. For a split second, my world froze. "A +1? What do you mean?" The receptionist shifted uneasily. "Her reservation indicates 2 guests." "I just assumed." "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned it." I forced a laugh, hollow even to my ears. "No, that's fine. Probably just a coworker sharing a room to save money." But I knew better. Rachel's company always paid for private rooms. It was something they prided themselves on. Collecting our luggage, I returned to Connor and Sarah, my mind racing wildly. Was it just a work friend? A female colleague perhaps? Or... I couldn't finish the thought. "Did you find Mom?" Sarah asked excitedly. "Not yet, sweetheart. Let's head to our room and freshen up first." The elevator ride up was quiet except for Sarah's cheerful humming. Connor glanced at me suspiciously but thankfully stayed silent. Our room was nice, the standard upscale hotel style. I dropped our bags and took a deep breath. "Can we see Mom now?" Sarah pleaded, "Just give me a minute. Let's wash up first, it's been a long day." While they were distracted, I slipped out into the hallway, heading for room 718. My heart pounded as I knocked gently at first. No response. I knocked again, louder. Still nothing, but I heard movement inside, faint music, and laughter. My blood went cold. I quickly texted her, "I'm right outside your hotel room. Open up." The sounds inside abruptly stopped, followed by a muffled male voice. My stomach twisted painfully. Slowly, the door opened, revealing Rachel in a hotel bathrobe, hair disheveled, her face flushed. Shock, fear, then something like annoyance flickered across her expression. "Justin, I mean Matt. What are you doing here?" she whispered sharply, stepping into the hallway and almost closing the door behind her. I stared at her, momentarily speechless. "Surprise," I said dryly. "The kids and I thought we'd drop by to see you." Her eyes widened. "The kids are here?" "At the hotel, in our room down the hall," I replied numbly. "They've been excited to see you all day." She nervously ran a hand through her hair, glancing back at her room. "You should have called first, Matt. You should have called." I did, multiple times. I crossed my arms firmly. "Who's inside your room, Ray?" She visibly flinched. "It's not what you're thinking, really. Because it seems like you have another man in there." "Am I wrong?" The door opened wider, and a tall, athletic man in his early 40s stepped forward, buttoning his shirt. "Ray." Is everything all right? My vision narrowed, focusing sharply on the stranger using my nickname for my wife. Who the hell are you? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Matt, please. Rachel began, but I interrupted sharply. No. I want to hear it from him. I stepped closer. Who are you, and why are you in my wife's hotel room? The man appeared confused, glancing uneasily between Rachel and me. I'm Tyler, from the Minneapolis office. He instinctively reached out to shake my hand, then reconsidered and quickly withdrew. I didn't know Ray was married. Those words hit me like a gut punch. Turning to Rachel, I saw her shame, but clearly not enough. You told him you were single. My voice barely rose above a whisper. Rachel briefly shut her eyes. Can we not do this in the hallway? Tyler, maybe you should leave. Yeah, Tyler, I echoed bitterly, turning my anger toward him. Maybe you should. Tyler raised his hands defensively. Look, I had no idea. She never mentioned a husband or kids. He quickly grabbed his jacket and brushed past us, disappearing down the hallway. Rachel and I stood alone, silence thick and suffocating. 19 years, Ray, I finally said, the words tasting bitter. And you're picking up men on business trips. It's not like that, she snapped defensively. You don't understand, then explain it, I challenged, fury simmering beneath my tone. Explain why our children flew here to surprise you only to find their mom with another man. She avoided my gaze. You should have called first. Those words, the audacity of them, shattered something deep inside me. You're seriously blaming me for catching you cheating because I didn't warn you? Lower your voice, she hissed, glancing down the hall anxiously. The kids are waiting, I said coldly, stepping back. Sarah's been thrilled all day to see you. What do I tell her? Guilt finally registered on her face. Just give me 5 minutes to dress, then I'll come to your room. I turned to leave, hesitated, and asked quietly, how long has this been going on? Rachel, she refused to meet my eyes. It was just one mistake. A one-time thing. Tyler's words echoed painfully. I didn't know Ray was married. This wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. Walking back to our room to face the kids, I knew that nothing in our lives would ever be the same again. Each step felt impossibly heavy, burdened by the harsh reality I'd just uncovered. How was I supposed to face my kids? What could I possibly say? I stopped right outside our hotel door, took a slow, deep breath, and rearranged my face into something that hopefully looked normal. The keycard beeped, and I gently pushed the door open. Dad. Did you find Mom? Sarah hopped off the bed, abandoning whatever show she'd been glued to on TV. Connor glanced up from his phone, his eyes instantly narrowing at the sight of my face. What's up, Dad? He asked cautiously. That kid always saw right through me. Mom's on her way over now, I forced out, managing a weak smile. We definitely surprised her. Sarah's eyes sparkled. Was she happy? Did she cry? Oh, she was surprised all right, I replied, carefully avoiding Connor's skeptical gaze. Hey, why don't we order some food from room service? You guys must be starving after the trip. Connor waved his phone at me. Already ahead of you, he said quietly, still watching me closely. We ordered cheeseburgers and fries. Sarah chimed in, bouncing on the bed. And chocolate cake, too. I nodded, putting on another smile. Sounds great, kiddo. A sudden knock at the door made Sarah leap to her feet again. Mommy's here. Before I could say anything, she swung the door open and launched herself right at Rachel, who stood in the hallway looking perfectly put together, hair neatly brushed, makeup freshly applied, professional outfit immaculate. If I hadn't seen her 10 minutes earlier in that bathrobe with another man half-dressed behind her, I'd never have suspected anything was wrong. Mommy. Sarah squealed, wrapping herself tightly around Rachel's waist. Oh, sweetheart, Rachel said, embracing Sarah warmly. What an amazing surprise. Her eyes locked on mine over Sarah's head, silently pleading with me to play along. For the kid's sake, Connor hadn't moved an inch, still watching his mother warily. Hey, Mom, he greeted quietly, his tone neutral. Rachel crossed the room and kissed his forehead lightly. Hey, buddy. You got taller since I left, didn't you? Mom, it's been 1 week, Connor replied, rolling his eyes just enough to break the tension. Sarah quickly filled the silence with cheerful chatter about our trip, completely unaware of the strained air. Rachel nodded along, occasionally glancing at me, but I couldn't meet her eyes anymore. Dad said we could all eat dinner together. Sarah finished, clearly thrilled. We got room service coming, cheeseburgers. Rachel's smile slipped slightly. Oh, honey, that sounds great, but tonight I actually have an important work dinner scheduled. Some really big clients. I couldn't hold back a bitter chuckle, disguising it quickly as a cough, but we came all the way here to see you. Sarah's disappointment was crushing. I know, baby, and I'm so glad you did. But I promise tomorrow I'm all yours. We'll spend the whole day together. Do whatever you want. Rachel turned to me suddenly. Matt, can I talk to you in the hallway for just a second? Connor snorted softly. Real smooth, Mom. I followed Rachel out into the hallway, leaving the door cracked open just in case Sarah called for me. A client dinner? I asked once we were alone. Is that what we're calling this now? Her carefully composed mask slipped just a bit. Matt, please. Just give me some time to handle this. To handle what exactly? How to lie convincingly to your family. Because you seem pretty practiced already. She flinched as if I'd physically hurt her. That's not fair. Not fair. I kept my voice low, keenly aware of our kids right on the other side of the door. Do you know what's unfair, Rachel? Sarah dragging us through 3 stores to find her favorite travel pillow, just so she could show it to her mom. Or Connor actually putting down his phone long enough to help me book our flights, because seeing you meant that much to him. They've spent this whole trip excited about surprising you. Her eyes filled with tears. Matt, I made a huge mistake. I know I did. But please, just don't say anything to the kids yet. So I'm supposed to just pretend everything's great. Smile and play along while you go to your client dinner. It really is a client dinner, she insisted, almost pleading now. Tyler won't be there. This deal means millions for my firm, I have to be there. I stared at her, suddenly realizing how little I recognized the woman I'd married. Right. Your career. That's your priority right now. No. That's not what I'm saying. She rubbed her forehead anxiously. I'm just trying to fix whatever I can from this mess. Please, Matt. Just tonight. Tomorrow we'll talk, we'll figure things out. There's nothing left to figure out, I replied flatly. You cheated on me. You lied to our kids. You've clearly been living some kind of secret life, and who knows how long it's been going on. She reached for my hand, but I stepped away. It wasn't a secret life, Matt. It was just one mistake. I shook my head bitterly, Tyler's words replaying clearly in my mind. I didn't know Ray was married. Save your excuses, I said, turning back toward our room. Go to your dinner. I'll handle the kids. What will you tell them? She asked nervously. I haven't decided yet. My hand rested on the doorknob. But unlike you, I won't lie to them. Back inside, Sarah was bouncing happily on the bed again, excitement practically radiating from her. Is Mom gonna eat dinner with us? I swallowed down the ache in my chest. Not tonight, sweetheart. Mom has something important at work she can't miss. Sarah's smile dropped, her disappointment clear. But Daddy, we came all this way to surprise her. I know, baby. I pulled her gently close, hugging her tightly. And you definitely did surprise her. She just needs to finish up tonight, and tomorrow she's all ours. Connor stared at me, his expression impossible to read. So where's she actually going tonight? A client dinner, I said carefully, the lie bitter on my tongue. Right, Connor muttered, looking back down at his phone. Whatever. Sarah bounced right back, as she always did. Daddy, can we go see the Portland Harbor tonight? Emma said it's beautiful with all the boats and lights. The thought of sightseeing while my marriage collapsed seemed impossible, but seeing Sarah's hopeful eyes softened my resolve. Yeah, honey, we can. Let's finish dinner, then go check it out. Yes, she cheered, reaching happily for another Ukrainian fry. This is still the best surprise trip ever, Daddy. Connor caught my eye, subtly raising an eyebrow, silently challenging the lie I was forced to live. I gave him a slight shake of the head, my silent promise to explain later. He gave a tiny, understanding nod in return. At 16, Connor was more perceptive and grown up than I'd realized, and in that painful moment, I was grateful for it. Later, As we strolled beside the harbor, Sarah skipping ahead and excitedly pointing out every boat in sight, Connor quietly fell into step beside me. He glanced over carefully, his voice low, mature beyond his years. "Mom's cheating, isn't she?" I nearly stumbled, taken off guard by his bluntness. "Connor, just be honest with me, Dad. I'm not a little kid anymore." I stared at my son, suddenly struck by how grown-up he appeared, tall, serious, eyes searching mine. "Yes," I finally admitted quietly. "I think she is." His question lingered between us, heavier and more mature than anything I'd ever expected from a 16-year-old. "What made you suspect it?" I asked, glancing briefly at Sarah, who was excitedly running ahead to check out a massive yacht docked nearby. Connor shrugged, hands buried deep in his pockets. "The way you've been acting, the way she looked at you earlier. And when you went to find her tonight, you came back looking like someone had died." Smart kid. Too smart for his own good sometimes. "I don't want to lie to you," I said quietly, my voice low and careful. "But this is complicated adult stuff, Connor." "Dad, I'm old enough to understand," he insisted firmly. "I'd rather hear the truth than guess what's happening to our family." I took a deep breath, letting the chilly harbor breeze steady my nerves. "You're right. Tonight, I found your mom with another man." Connor's jaw tightened, though his face betrayed no surprise. I had a feeling. Ever since she started traveling for this corporate communications job, she's been different, always glued to her phone, working late, taking extra trips. A sickening realization settled over me. Had everyone noticed but me? "You picked up on that?" I asked softly. "Yeah," he replied, his voice tinged with sadness rather than blame. "I think you did too, Dad. You just didn't want to admit it." Sarah's voice interrupted us from up ahead, cheerful and oblivious. "Dad, Connor. Come see. There's a helicopter on this boat." "Coming, sweetie." I called back, forcing enthusiasm into my tone. Connor kicked lightly at a loose pebble on the walkway. "So, what's going to happen now? Are you guys getting a divorce?" The word landed like a heavy weight on my chest. "I honestly don't know, buddy. This all just happened. But no matter what happens between your mom and me, it won't change how much we both love you and Sarah." He scoffed bitterly. "If she really loved us, she wouldn't have done this." "If she loved us, she wouldn't have done this," Connor repeated again. "It's not always that simple," I said gently, though part of me fully agreed with him. "Adults sometimes mess things up, badly. This isn't like forgetting to pay the electric bill, Dad," he said, his voice tight. "She chose this." When we reached Sarah, she was pressing her nose against the railing, marveling at the yacht. "It's bigger than our whole house." I lifted her onto my shoulders, grateful for her innocent excitement. "Pretty cool, right?" As Sarah chattered happily about boats and helicopters, Connor stood quietly to one side, processing everything in silence. Eventually, when Sarah was distracted by another passing boat, he spoke quietly. "Don't tell Sarah yet. She still thinks Mom's perfect." "I won't," I promised softly. "But we'll have to deal with it eventually." Connor nodded thoughtfully, then unexpectedly leaned against me slightly, the closest thing to a hug I'd gotten from him in years. "We'll get through this, Dad. You, me, and Sarah." My heart ached at his maturity, comforted by his strength yet heartbroken that my child was comforting me. "Yeah," I said, wrapping an arm around his shoulders. "We will." Returning to the hotel later, Sarah dozed lightly on my shoulders, exhausted from the excitement. Connor walked beside me in thoughtful silence, his earlier revelation still heavy between us. "I'm sleepy, Daddy," Sarah mumbled as we stepped into the elevator. "Almost bedtime, honey," I assured her gently, pressing our floor number. When the elevator doors opened, my stomach twisted. Rachel stood outside our room, arms folded, tapping her foot impatiently. When she saw us, her expression shifted to worry. "Where have you been?" "I've been calling for hours." "We went down to the harbor," I answered evenly, shifting Sarah's weight. "I left my phone in the room." Connor brushed past Rachel without a glance, swiping our door open and disappearing inside. Rachel stared after him, confused. "Connor. Honey, what's wrong?" He ignored her, and the door shut firmly behind him. "What did you say to him?" Rachel whispered sharply to me. The truth, I replied simply. He asked, and I refused to lie. Rachel's face paled visibly. You had no right to tell him without talking to me first. Keep your voice down, I warned quietly, nodding toward Sarah, who was drifting off again. And I had every right. You lost your say in this the moment you betrayed us. Rachel stepped back as if I'd slapped her. Matt, please. Can we discuss this rationally? How was your client dinner? I asked bitterly, ignoring her request. Productive, she said tightly. We got the deal. Congratulations, I said, unable to mask my bitterness. Glad your career is still thriving. That's not fair, she protested softly. You know what's not fair? Our son knows his mother betrayed him. Our daughter will figure it out soon enough. Nothing about this is fair, Rachel. Sarah stirred slightly. Daddy. Why are you and Mommy arguing? Rachel quickly composed herself. We're not arguing, sweetheart, just having a grown-up talk. It sounded like arguing, Sarah murmured sleepily. It's okay, baby girl, I soothed, rubbing her back. Let's get you tucked in. As I moved past Rachel, she grabbed my arm gently. Matt, we need to talk privately. Not tonight, I said firmly. I'm putting our daughter to bed. Inside, Connor was sitting stiffly on his bed, headphones on, staring blankly at the wall. He didn't acknowledge Rachel as she followed me in. I helped Sarah into pajamas and tucked her into bed. Good night, sweetheart. Night, Daddy. Night, Mommy, Sarah murmured sleepily. Rachel hesitated awkwardly, then softly kissed Sarah's forehead. Good night, baby. Once Sarah was asleep, Rachel motioned toward the door. Please, can we talk in my room? I glanced at Connor, his back rigidly turned to us. Will you be okay? Connor removed one headphone. I'm fine, Dad. Go talk. Sort this mess out, Connor said flatly, his voice devoid of emotion. Rachel visibly winced at his cold tone but said nothing in response. We walked silently down the hallway to her room, the same room where earlier I'd uncovered her betrayal. The bitter irony wasn't lost on me as she swiped her keycard and we stepped inside. The space was freshly cleaned, every sign of her afternoon encounter erased. Yet, the betrayal lingered, thick and palpable in the air. Connor hates me, Rachel finally said, breaking the heavy silence. He's hurt, I corrected sharply. We all are. Rachel sank onto the edge of the bed, her composure slipping away. Matt, I made a terrible mistake. I don't even know what I was thinking. That's just it, I said, refusing to sit or even fully enter the room. You weren't thinking of us at all. The room felt tainted, alien, no longer a safe place. I stood rigid near the door, unwilling to approach any closer. She started pacing nervously, searching for words. I don't even know where to begin. How about starting with the truth, I said, forcing calm into my voice. How long has this been going on? She hesitated, just enough to confirm I wasn't getting the whole story. It was just once, Matt. A stupid mistake. Tyler didn't seem to think it was just once, I shot back. He said he didn't even know you were married. How could he not know if this was your first time together? Rachel's shoulders slumped in defeat. We've been talking for a few months. It started at a corporate communications conference in Minneapolis. So, this wasn't your first business trip rendezvous? I asked bitterly. She closed her eyes, ashamed. No. Even though I'd anticipated her answer, it still felt like a knife twisting deep inside. I leaned heavily against the wall for support. How many times? How many men? Only Tyler, she admitted quietly. 3 times. And I know it doesn't make anything better. No, it doesn't, I replied bitterly. 19 years, Rachel. 2 kids. And you threw it away for what? A cheap thrill. An ego boost. It wasn't like that, she argued weakly. We drifted apart. You've been so caught up in work, the kids. When was the last time you really saw me as a woman, not just a wife and mother? Anger surged through me. Don't even try to blame this on me. If you felt neglected, we could have talked. We could have fixed it together. Instead, you chose lies and betrayal. I know, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. I realize that now, Matt. I'm sorry, more sorry than you could ever know. Sorry you cheated, or sorry you got caught? I asked harshly. Rachel flinched, hurt. That's not fair. None of this is fair, I snapped. Our kids are devastated. Connor hates you. Sarah will learn the truth eventually. You tore our family apart for a fling with a guy from the Minneapolis office. Silence fell between us, heavy with 2 decades of shared memories, now hanging by a fragile thread. What happens next? She asked softly, finally looking up. I studied her closely, the woman I'd loved since college, the mother of my children, now a stranger. I'm taking the kids home tomorrow. First flight out. Matt, please, she begged urgently. We can get through this. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. I don't know if I can ever trust you again, I admitted honestly. And without trust, what's left? 20 years of love. A family. A life together, she pleaded, her voice breaking. A life you didn't value enough to protect, I said, moving toward the door. I need to get back to our children. What will you tell Sarah? Rachel's voice trembled. I paused, hand on the doorknob. I don't know yet. But unlike you, I won't lie to her. The flight home was silent. Sarah quickly fell asleep, emotionally exhausted from our short, tumultuous trip. Connor sat beside me, headphones on, staring out the window, occasionally glancing my way with concern and, maybe, newfound respect. I hadn't slept since the confrontation. After talking to Rachel, I returned to find Connor still awake, waiting for me. We're going home tomorrow, I told him gently. First flight available. He nodded slowly, relief evident. Good. Rachel had shown up at the airport, eyes swollen from crying. Sarah hugged her tightly, confused by our sudden departure. But why can't Mommy come too? She kept asking. Mom has more work to finish, I lied bitterly. She'll be home soon. Connor gave his mother only a brief, stiff hug before boarding without looking back. Now, as the plane descended toward home, my mind spun with thoughts of what came next, the logistics, the conversations, the heartbreak of telling Sarah. I barely noticed Connor watching me until he finally spoke. Dad, he began quietly, pulling me from my thoughts. Yeah, buddy. Are you okay? He asked, his voice serious, mature beyond his years. My throat tightened with emotion. I will be. We all will be. He nodded, satisfied for now. What's gonna happen when we get home? Is Mom coming back? I sighed, choosing my words carefully. She'll come back to the house, yes. But things are going to be different. Your mom and I have to figure out what's best for all of us. You mean divorce? Connor stated bluntly, his tone accepting yet resigned. Maybe. I don't know yet. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. But whatever happens between your mom and me, it won't change how much we both love you and Sarah. Connor was silent for a moment, thoughtful. For what it's worth, Dad, I think you're doing the right thing. We deserve better. His words, wise beyond his 16 years, both comforted and broke me. No child should ever have to experience this kind of pain, yet his resilience filled me with pride. When we landed, Sarah woke immediately, asking for Rachel. Each request was a painful reminder of how deeply our family had fractured. 3 weeks later, Rachel and I sat facing each other across our kitchen table, the divorce papers resting ominously between us. She had moved into a downtown apartment. Connor still rarely spoke to her, while Sarah was slowly grasping, in her innocent 10-year-old way, that Mom and Dad wouldn't be living together anymore. I never wanted any of this, Rachel whispered, her pen hovering above the signature line. Neither did I said truthfully. But here we are. She looked at me, eyes pleading. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I took a deep breath, carefully considering her question. Someday, maybe. For the kids' sake. But some things just can't be undone, Rachel. She nodded slowly, accepting the painful truth, and signed her name. Watching her leave, I felt an unexpected lightness begin to emerge within me. The pain remained, still raw and deep, but for the first time since Portland, I glimpsed a future beyond the betrayal. It was a fresh start for me and the kids. We would find our way to being okay, changed, but okay.